All right, so here we are again, thinking that we'd have a snow day, and I'm sitting in my kitchen talking to you. So cool technology, and just a couple things that I want to touch on before we meet in class again tomorrow to continue on with motivation. So yesterday, what we would have started talking about before the bell rang was the psychology and the physiology of eating, and the chemistry of the brain. So the glucose are these sugar levels in our body that flow through our bloodstream and signal into our brain our level of hunger. So if we have low levels of glucose in our brain, we tend to be hungry, which is why I call Jolly Ranchers or whatever candy I happen to give you brain food, because sometimes it's just, you don't really need a lot of glucose, but you need enough to keep your brain functioning. You don't want too much sugar in your body, in your bloodstream, because that is considered hyperglycemia, and that results in diabetes, which is when the pancreas overproduces glucose. But you don't want too much or too little either, because that's called hypoglycemia, and that's when your body, remember, you're always trying to get back to homeostasis, to keep your body at an even keel, if you will. So a little glucose actually goes a long way in helping the brain respond to the necessities and the tasks that your body needs to function. So one thing, and we've talked a lot about the hypothalamus. Remember, the hypothalamus does a lot in our body. If in doubt, when you come to the test and you don't know what the answer is and hypothalamus is an option, choose it. However, the AP board will go one step further in this type of question when it comes to eating and the motivation for eating. And they will divide the hypothalamus into the lateral hypothalamus and the ventromedial hypothalamus. Now, you don't need to know where those are. Really, you only need to know the function. Know that actually the hypothalamus is further divided down into even these two parts. That's well beyond my pay grade, nothing that you need to know for the AP board. One little tip, this is how you remember the difference between lateral hypothalamus and ventromedial hypothalamus. The lateral hypothalamus is what controls our desire to eat. It signals that we are hungry. So the lateral hypothalamus, for instance, kind of turns on and says, let's eat. And we continue to eat until it has basically turned off. Then the ventromedial hypothalamus tells us we're satisfied. That's what the word satiety means. It satisfies our need and our necessity to eat. So a good tip to remember, the lateral hypothalamus, different from the ventromedial hypothalamus, is the little phrase, lat makes you fat. If you can remember that rhyme, lat makes you fat, you can remember that when the lateral hypothalamus is triggered or sends the signal, we are going to eat. Now, I think you'll very much understand this if you're anything like me, and you eat and you eat and you eat, and then 20 minutes later you realize, oh, I'm so full. It's because you didn't give your brain a chance to catch up. Your brain had yet not signaled to both your stomach and the other parts of the brain that you were full. So the good thing to remember is to slow down, chew your food slowly, actually. Talk in between, your bites. Take drinks and sips of water, whatever it happens to be, because that will actually help signal to your brain that you are full, you are satisfied. It happens to me all the time. Maybe you can relate. I go to some place like Who Hot. Oh, love Who Hot. And I eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. And by the time I'm walking out of Who Hot, I am so miserably full because my brain had not yet caught up, or my stomach had not yet caught up to my brain saying, I don't need that much food. So remember, lat makes you fat. And you will remember that the lateral hypothalamus is what triggers our desire to eat. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, and then we're done for the day, is something called the set point theory. So the set point theory is kind of everybody's individual point. Now, I stress that word, individual, because it's our own weight thermostat, if you will. And it's at the thermostat at which we are set. Now, the idea is that you have a kind of an ideal body weight. And the set point theory says that your body is actually going to try to maintain that point. When we see something called yo-yo dieting, and if you look at that little graphic right there of the young lady, her set point is the one that's on the far left. Well, then she goes on a diet and she loses some weight, and actually by that third step you can see she's quite thin. And so the weight will come off. The weight will come off, but your body is going to fight to keep it at that set point. So the weight can come off, but your body will adjust. Your appetite and your metabolism will actually adjust to return to that set point, because you are undernourishing your body, and your body is going to fight. Your body is going to stay in homeostasis to get back to that natural body weight that's individual to you. So then the set point returns, and then you see that when she's coming to her new set point, actually her metabolism has slowed down, and she's gained more weight than she originally was, but she's kind of readjusted her thermostat. So then she decides, well, I need to lose some weight, and this happens again, and she tries to take some weight off, and she's down again to a low weight. But once again, her body is going to fight to keep her set point, and then the weight creeps back up, and she's now adjusted. Now, some people say, well, why can't you just adjust your body to keep at that lower weight, that lower set point? You can, but that's when we start seeing other problems happening in the kidneys, in bones, and other things will start manifesting itself. And if you are not on an incredibly strict diet, you really can't maintain it. You can't maintain it. Your body is going to fight to come back. It's a little bit like your height or your eye color. Your set point, your weight, you actually don't have as much control over it as maybe you would like to think. So the hypothalamus will tell us to stop eating when that set point is reached, and it will raise the metabolic rate to burn excess food. And this is sometimes what we call the yo-yo dieting, where you're up and then you yo-yo back down, and then you're coming back up, and then you're going back down. It's difficult on your system. It's difficult for your body. It creates a sense of, not only lack of motivation, but what's the word I'm looking for? It's difficult psychologically to do yo-yo dieting, because at times you feel like a success and at times you feel like failure. And in reality, it has very little to do with your own internal motivation. It has much more to do with the physiology of your body. So that's it for the day. Actually, tomorrow we will go on to the eating disorders. If you get a chance, and I actually encourage you to do it, over on Haiku, there is a worksheet that looks like this. If you can see this, I could probably turn it around here for you. Take a look at that. See if you would answer the true and false questions that are there for you. A little tidbit is that females and males will probably answer these questions differently. So take a look at that, and perhaps we can talk about it at the beginning of class tomorrow. Can't wait to see you then. Have a great day. Stay warm.